Welcome back to Philippines Uncut. I'm Buddy Kunanan. Tonight's show is about managing family businesses. And joining us still is the expert on managing family businesses, Professor Eric Soriano of the Ateneo Graduate School of Business. Professor Soriano, welcome to our second segment.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
And then we ended our first segment talking about the very important issue of succession and how it can really have an effect on the success or failure of a company. Now let's talk about your role. And we talked about your role a little bit earlier when we said that you are sometimes brought in to help guide the patriarch into opening up his mind about succession issues and how to manage it properly. What happens in this close-knit, tight-run ship when they throw someone like you, an outsider, into the mix? Is it how does the dynamic play out?
Yes, I normally come in premise on two areas. One, which is usually the case, is when the business needs a strategic advisor. It could be increased sales, it could be addressing people policies, it could be doing even strategic planning for the business.
So you cover all that?
Yes. Wow. So I come in from that perspective. The owner would normally seek me because he wants to turn around possibly a sagging sale for 2012. So I come in, we do a diagnostic. Again, this is all pure business. And one of the reasons will likely be because of the deliberate effort of the owner himself not to grow. So therefore, the segue is I come in from a family coaching. Sasabihin ko, teka muna, Mr. Visionary, I think it would be best. You know, one of the reasons why you're not growing and sales are probably down because your managers are leaving you. The professionals are not interested to be part of this organization because you are controlling almost every single decision making from a 1 peso paperclip to a 1 million capex. So the segue on family advisory comes in. And therefore, it's seamless. There are some, in the light of, say, conflict, erupted in the family.
Away-away.
Away-away. And they have no other recourse but to tap my services. And I step in and to try to facilitate and making sure there's harmony. So I go through a relentless initiative of, coaching, lecturing, facilitating, oftentimes moving towards family constitution. So we're talking here of values which are a bit sensitive. Like for instance, maybe just one example. One family member would say, I'm bothered because there's a saying, fair is equal for parents.
Okay.
But for the children, equal is never fair.
Good saying.
So for the father and the mother, I love you all, therefore, everything must be equal in terms of sharing, stockholder, equity, rights, everything.
And that's not really realistic.
And then out of the 5 children, or 6 children for that matter, only 3 will be putting their efforts, their soul, their heart into the business. The other 3 are probably not keen to helping. They might be helping, but not as passionate as the 3 other siblings. So that's when I say equal is never fair.
Of course, of course.
So when the dynamics of that nature happens, I step in and I put lines. I separate the hard and the soft issues. The soft issues are the values of the family. The hard issues is when we put the systems, the structures, the policies where everybody must comply, including the visionary. So these are the things that must be taken into that perspective. So when you come in, that's just the tip of the iceberg. The deeper
whole other engagement
is really out there, and then you move towards the process of succession.
Your job is so difficult, and not only you have to be a management expert to look at the company clinically and scientifically, as you said, but you also have to be a counselor.
Absolutely.
Almost, right?
Yeah, the biggest mistake, at least for what I learned in the Philippines and what I want to share for the Philippine market, is most of the time they feel that lawyers can fix a family business dynamic, which is
Well,
basically
okay.
not the case.
Why is that, Prof? Why is that? Why are lawyers in this case actually, would you say they're actually I don't understand, I have a lot of friends who are lawyers, but they actually make things worse sometimes.
In fairness to the lawyers, they're not experts.
Okay.
For instance, in my engagements in Singapore, the family coaches, the family advisory consultants are either economists, psychologists,
Yeah.
marketing people, strategists,
Yes.
and not lawyers. The lawyers just simply
To
formulate.
legalize it, to legalize the understanding.
Yes.
Would you say that a lot of these in family-run business, a root cause of a lot of problems, not really so much the management, but the personalities behind it?
That's a big chunk,
That's a big chunk of it.
of the conflict.
Okay.
The other chunk is the visionary in his quest to survive and grow the business. Forgot to put in the so-called systems and process and protocols. There are no infrastructure to think of. So when there are a lot of discretions in the organization, your employees tend to be confused.
Yes.
There's no real hierarchy.
Sino bang susundan namin?
Sino susundan namin?
I mean, the son is supposed to be the president, but then everyone knows that he just receives orders from the big boss.
Yes.
The father.
There is a sense of entitlement for family members. What about the non-family members? They come in at 8 a.m. The owners and the owner-managers will come in at 10 a.m.
How do you fix that? How do you fix that in a family corporation? Very difficult.
Yes. When I'm in as a family coach or a part of the family advisory board, I usually addressed a very important element, the so-called values, transition, unwritten, soft values. We call that soft rules. What made this company where it is now, the elements where, the work ethic of the father when he started.
Reinforce all that.
Reinforce the
in their
sacrifices
minds.
he made to make this part of the second generation or third generation. The different behaviors of the family members who have joined and have started to work for the family. So this is what we call the soft plan. Unwritten but powerful enough to cement and galvanize the essence of why they have this business. Once that is resolved, and this is the difficult part, the transition moving towards the hard issues, creating policies, creating a family constitution, making sure everybody complies. So that transition from soft to hard easily is
Key.
Very important,
Yes.
very essential,
Yes.
and key,
Yes.
and very difficult. Because even the visionary will have to conform and now comply with the standards of all the policies that have been agreed upon. So, we're talking of an emperor becoming part of a professional organization. You see, the dynamics of the family business addresses clearly the soft and the hard from a perspective of, say, economic benefit and sense of entitlement.
Yep.
You cannot
Yes.
marry both.
Yes.
No? Meritocracy and feelings. Transparency and close-knit.
Very difficult. Yeah.
Right?
Worlds apart.
Privacy and discipline. Here, on the professional side, you can get fired if you're a non-family member. But can you fire a child of owner? I've fired 2 this year.
Really?
Yes, suspended
Child
and
of
fired.
children of owners.
Yes, that was my clear-cut policy when I stepped in.
How did you get the old man to
I
agree?
said to the old man that if you engage me, you follow my rules.
Was it in writing?
Oh, absolutely. Because
Ironclad.
I said I'm going to walk away.
Yes.
If you want to professionalize, because we were preparing for an IPO. So, you have to go through standards.
Of course. Absolutely.
So, therefore, I said, you follow, everything must be based on standards and compliance, And there was one particular case where the son was reporting for work after lunch. And it was not a good example for professionals.
Of course, of course.
So we were working on some ISO programs already. But here comes
how can
the
you have
son.
that coming in after lunch? You know?
So I told the father, maybe it's time to suspend your son. And he said, is there another way?
And what did you say?
And I said, there's no other way except to discipline him. And maybe can you talk to my wife? He went through the whole process. It took me almost 2.5 weeks to finally tell them, if you're not going to take action, if you're not going to allow me to initiate this, then I disengaged.
Well, it's a good thing they were enlightened, that they actually realized and took the bitter pill.
They knew that was the right way, but the emotion came into the picture. So until when I finally said, if you cannot, I will have to disengage. And they said, go ahead, but we will have to take a month-long vacation.
Let things cool down, no? Syempre, very
so
emotional.
The couple left, knowing that I will suspend the son because he doesn't want to be part of the whole
good cop, bad cop.
Exactly.
Bad cop.
So I suspended the son, and the son went out of his way to seek his father, seek everybody else. At the end of the day, it went straight to me.
Well, I'm glad the father held his ground. No?
Held his ground, but it was so painful. It was very emotional.
Of course.
And now the son has made great strides.
Prof, let's talk about expansion. You know, a lot of companies we know of, I mean, they could have been great, okay, but somehow they were never able to take off because of, you know, I guess a lot of people who own family businesses. They are, you know, they're wary about getting outside help, professionals, consultants. How important are professionals and consultants to making a business grow, for instance?
Well, absolutely. Again, in any engagement that I was part of, I would always ask a very simple question. Is it family first or business first? They have to make that decision. You cannot have both. As I've said, the economics and the so-called emotion, you cannot combine. So if you decide on a family first, I can prepare a template for a family first. There have been a few Asian companies that have gone the way
family
of
first.
Family first.
And still successful.
Yes, like in Malaysia, for instance, Royal Selangor.
Of course, a famous pewter.
Yes, it's family first. So whatever decisions they make, it's always for the greater glory of the family first philosophy.
They make beautiful pewter utensils.
And they're in
and
retail
things.
stores.
Yes, absolutely, all over.
Yes. But a good chunk, 90%, chosen the route of business first. So if it's business first, then I can formulate a template premise on a business first. This is where we prepare organizational structures, systems, procedures, compliance, meritocracy, and a whole slew of other elements.
But how do you convince them of the need for consultants? Because, you know, a lot of business owners probably say, oh, why will I hire a consultant? That's another additional cost. I mean, I did this myself. I did this business by myself. What do I need some other guy telling me how to run my business, no?
Yes. Here in the Philippines, sad part is oftentimes when there have been major arguments, and there may major quarrels among family members, it appears that they're constrained now by default to seek consultants. And surprisingly, once they get the hang of consultants,
they can't live without them.
They can't live without them. And my engagement, I would always tell them, the job of the family members and the professionals is to make me obsolete. So the earlier that I disengage, the better.
More successful you
Yes.
win.
But oftentimes, like I have a few engagements now where the visionary simply wants me to see him over coffee once a month. We talk for 2 hours. He has somebody beside him, his VP, who would record our proceedings, our discussions. But that's about it.
Very powerful role, Prof? You're the power behind the throne. You're the taga-bulong.
Taga-bulong.
The midnight cabinet.
But the earlier that I exit, the better. What I normally do, I bring in the professionals. So most of the time, family businesses have problems reconciling with people management. They have a hard time managing people. So what I normally do, I would request them and assert there's a need to really get an HR person. So I bring in an HR. Sometimes I even bring in CEOs. Sometimes I bring VPs
Wow.
to fill in the void. And they seem to have opened that realization of, oh, ganda pala, I can relax. One engagement where
Wow.
what I did, I just brought in an HR head.
Yeah.
And they said, wow, this is the benefit. This is the beauty of having professionals. We don't have to be here 24/7. And therefore, they can actually detach themselves, because my job as a consultant, as an advisor, as a coach, is to actually kick the family members upstairs. They be part of the board, so they can decide on strategic issues.
Which is a good area for them to be, the board, because
Yes.
it's more of an supervisory, policy-making body.
Yes,
Leave
yes.
the professionals to do
Yes.
the...
Train them first in the functional component of running the business, and once they have matured, they move up and make decisions premised on policy and strategic directions.
And more time to enjoy their money.
And more time to enjoy, because as I've said, it takes one heartbeat away.
Yes. Prof, quickly, because you have 3 minutes left, what are the, if you could tell the viewers now, what are the things to avoid for failure? I mean, what are the absolutely key things to avoid in a family failure?
First, work on your succession now.
Okay.
The family succession is very important. If you have 5 kids, and probably in their 20s, start assessing their strengths and competency.
Okay.
Give them wings as well.
Nice, nice.
Retrain them, maybe send them out for experience with other companies.
Learn their mistakes in other places, sure.
Learn for a few years, then let them come back if they so desire, but you cannot force them. So that's the first one.
Okay.
Work on their competency. So succession starts with competency. Then work with their relationship with the children. Harness that relationship while they're in their 20s, because when they're 40s or 50s,
Mahirap na baguhin.
they have in-laws.
Of course, of course.
And, things can be different. So work on their competency, work on their relationship. And then thirdly, address their strengths, their innate strengths on where should they be. You cannot force a particular successor to handle a particular business if it's not their core competence. So therefore, do a compatibility matrix among the children, where they should be and where one should be competent in finance, competence in IT,
marketing.
competence in marketing. Yes. Because, sabi nga, the real greatness of a CEO is how he transitions seamlessly to the next generation.
Very well said. Prof, for those people, family business owners who are watching, they want to contact you, maybe they got inspired by your talk, where can they reach you? Maybe you can give them your details.
Well, at Ateneo Graduate School of Business at Rockwell, they can Google my name, and
Website or?
There's a website called wongadvisory.com, and they can seek that out. But I do lectures at the Ateneo Graduate School in Rockwell, so they can seek me out there. And if there's a need for me to provide some guidance, they can actually visit me at the Ateneo.
Thank you very much, Prof. Maraming salamat. And,
Salamat,
our time was really too short, but please, we must have a follow-up to this, because there's so many other things I want to tackle, but unfortunately, all the good things must come to an end. We've come to the end of our show.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Prof.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
That's it for now. I hope you enjoyed the show. Stay tuned for part 2 of Managing Family Businesses, I'm sure with Professor Soriano, next time here in Philippines Uncut, where we talk about what matters to you, because you guys matter the most. I'll see you next week.